Carefully when she's going to cry. Very carefully.
The second Mrs. Borden, August 4th, 1892.
Mother! I can still hear you calling for me, my Lendra. A suddenly little frightened girl all over.
Don't say that to me.
You don't really mean that, Lizzie.
Yes, I don't have much to do with her. I stay in my room most of the time.
You come down to your meals, don't you?
Yes, but we don't eat with them if we can help it.
Emma and Lizzie usually came to the table when we did. No, they did not.
I thought they did.
No, sir, they did not.
That morning, they ate at the table with the family.
Not they. I certainly didn't. I wasn't at the house.
Lizzie did not. She was still snoring as you gorged. A good 2 hours later, she came through the kitchen, leaving her slops pail on the table. What do you want for your breakfast, Miss?
I don't know if I want any breakfast.
But she guessed she would have some coffee and cookies, a safe choice. Miss Lizzie was getting her own breakfast as I ran out in the backyard, sick headache and all.
You were sick to your stomach.
Bloody mutton soup, bloody weak stomach.
No more of this.
'Tis a chronicle of day by day, not a relation for a breakfast.
Bloody breakfast.
Enough!
We was all sick that day. None could escape the summer complaint.
To have to live by the demands of the stomach is pitiable.
Bloody bodies.
Your tale, my lady, would cure deafness.
I'm not ashamed to speak of what I saw. 'Twas an awful bloody mess. I'll swear to that.
The Maid's memory.
I vomit at the very sight of blood. Oh, yes, I do. I just can't seem to help it. It's like a bad summer sneeze. It just comes up and blasts out before I can even warn anybody. Even when I was just a wee thing, 10, 12 years old, it just wasn't pretty. The girls at St. Benedicta's nicknamed me Bloody Maggie and always kept their distance. I soon became BM for short, but that's another matter. Good old Bloody Maggie. Oh, yes, the name stuck. Even I can't help myself from ordering one when out to the pubs at the end of a hard work day. Oh, Hail Mary. I've even visited a doctor about it. Well, a doctor of sorts. It's my good friend's son, who is studying pre-medical at Amherst. He's a smart boy. Yeah, he's a good boy. He tells me that it all stems from a psychological trauma that I've yet to come to peace with. That my reaction to blood, it's like a bad hangover. You drink too much. The next day, even the sight of a bottle makes the stomach churn. I don't understand it. If I did, I guess I wouldn't be having my little problem now, would I? But this boy, limited though his knowledge may be on matters of the mind, says the power of a strong memory is now, how do you put it, unfathomable. So, I sit down and think, trying to remember my past. Did I cut myself as a small girl? Did I witness a terrible accident? Did my monthly messenger scare me into denial? I mean, what could it possibly be that could ever make me so weak in the belly? I gave up trying. There was nothing else for me to do. I avoided blood at all costs, and when the rare moment occurred, and I was forced to lay my eyes on it, well then, I would just have a good purge, and that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
Well, when the anniversary of Mrs. Borden's death was approaching, the first Mrs. Borden, I got to be thinking of her. How good-natured she was, so bright. And the troubles she had with birthing her 2 babies. Now, I had nothing to do with those births. Couldn't bring myself to stay in Fall River when they happened. But they were bloody affairs, telling me. Her bedding was soaked in blood. Dry blood. That made me heave a good 4 times while I was scrubbing them out. But it got me thinking. See, my own ma'am died in childbirth when she had me. No doctors were around. No one was around as far as I was told. She had me all by her lonesome, but then kicked it from the strain and left me to be found by the coppers a good 2 days later. Now, I don't remember my own birth, imagine that, but me ma'am did die. She must have lost a lot of blood. And I must have been swimming in it for the first 2 days of my life. Oh. I was convinced I had found my trauma. But how does one come to peace with something that you truly don't remember yourself? So I says to myself, I have identified the trauma. I really do think I now know why the sight of blood makes me lose my lentils, but where to go from here? Oh, I hoped it was a matter of mind over mucus and that self-knowledge would be my cure. But no such luck for Bloody Maggie. The other day, I walked past a broken-legged horse that had been shot dead in the street. Nausea hit me like an orgasm, and I ruined a perfectly good blouse. Yes, it's the same. changed. Only now I think I have someone to blame. I thought my man had left me with nothing. Nothing but a beating heart and a steel will to survive. But I really think she's left me with much more. A warning. Oh, I was convinced ages ago that I'd never have a child. Convinced that the sight of all that blood would kill me. Really kill me. Well, maybe this haunting sickness is my mother's way to save me from the same mistake she made. Having children can kill ya.
August 4th, 1892.
Yes, it was an awful, bloody mess. After the photographs were taken, Father and Mrs. Borden's mutilated bodies were carried into the dining room so that Dr. Dolan could perform the autopsies. A frenzied crowd had gathered outside. A few even dared to peer in through the windows while the doctor did his work.
There, Emma, stop. Let us not burden our remembrances with a heaviness that's gone.
It has never gone. It sticks to me like fat to the rib. You cannot diet the facts away. They're too vivid. These hacked autopsies were performed on the very same dining room table that Maggie had served breakfast on only 8 hours before.
Mutton, johnny cakes, bread, coffee, cookies, hot mutton soup, bananas.
From daily breakfast to disembowelment, quite a day. These are not natural events. They strengthen from strange to stranger.
The incompetent undertaker did not come as scheduled that night. Under the dim light of a single kerosene lamp, we lay on our backs.
Naked! Our blood-soaked clothes had been rolled up and left in the cellar washroom.
That night in my bed, I dreamed I was floating in a great, warm sea. The light dazzled my eyes, making jewels of the birds in flight above me. I was relaxed. I was myself. Until their corpses drifted lazily by, all sunburnt and bloated. I awoke fully aware that they were just one floor below, drip-drying like deer.
4 fathom 5, thy father